One of our athlete questions that have come in is I try to avoid criticism or I worry about criticism. And again, to touch on criticism, I think that that is a human thing. Criticism doesn't feel good. And it's not ever going to feel good, whether it's in sports or in life or whatever. But about criticism, it's never going to go away because there are people out there who just choose to criticize. And a lot of times, people who criticize are the ones sitting on the sidelines, the ones that aren't in the game, the ones that aren't out there trying or giving it their all or taking the risk. So many times, those are the people sitting on the sidelines criticizing who's out there in the game. So, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that. And I think that you need to know that and you need to remember that. And we're never going to get away from criticism in life. And if we try to live our life or perform in a way to avoid other people's criticism, it's going to be very hard for you to step fully into who you are, into that light that you have within you, because you are going to live, play, and perform in a very guarded way, trying to protect yourself. And so I want to challenge you and speak to myself. I challenge myself with this as well, because again, no matter what you're going for in life, there's always going to be critics. And, but you've got to remember that if you are out there, you are in the game and you are trying, that is what matters. And the critic who's kind of behind the scenes, that doesn't matter. And so it's a muscle that you can build. It is mental fitness that you can build in learning to let that criticism go, learning to understand that many times people who are critical of other people, they don't feel good about themselves for some reason. And maybe it is because they are not out there trying. They are not the ones that is taking the risk, that's trying, giving it their all, or, showing up whenever it's hard. And so there's always going to be critics. You've got to learn to catch yourself in it, or even when it happens and it doesn't feel good, you may have to take that pause, take that deep breath and be like, you know what? I'm going to congratulate myself. So this goes back to self-talk, if you hear me, but it's got to be some form of this because, I'm out there trying and I'm going to keep trying. And that person who's criticizing isn't going to make me stop. And I will say sometimes people who are critical, I've seen where teammates can be critical. Teammates can be critical when they're afraid that someone is ahead of them or someone is getting ahead of them. So criticism can also be used intentionally in a way to try to tear someone down, to hold you back, to pull you back. And so again, you've got to understand that if a person is being critical, it is more about them and what they have going on inside of them than what it is about you. And that, again, is where you've got to build your mental fitness that you can just let that go and you can see that person for the struggle that they have going on within them. And again, it's not about you, it is about them if it is a critical person. So learning to not internalize that, let it go. You've got to keep going. And if you try to bend who you are, your performance, the way you show up to try to please other people, you will lose yourself. And if you have been in Master Your Mindset, like right in the middle, that fourth week, we take that deep dive into who you are and your gifts and your talents. And it is your job to let your light shine. That's your job. And your job is to really grow into and maximize the abilities that you have. And if you are worried about other people criticizing you and, cutting you down and holding you back and pulling you back, you are going to hold yourself back. You're going to, it's going to be hard for you to maximize your abilities if you are playing it safe to avoid criticism. So I want you to remember that criticism is not going to go away. I want you to build that mental muscle within yourself, acknowledge it when it happens. It's more about you than it, or more about them, the criticizer, than it is about you. And you control your focus in that situation. And your job is to just give it everything you've got, keep showing up and keep growing, keep building to become really, truly that best version of you that you can become.